we have somebody very interesting with us in the studio now. This young person describes herself as a young... She ain't just going to stand by and do nothing. I think
Hi, good morning.
So, Victory, you got admission into how many universities?
So I got admission into about 23 universities, but 19 of them on a full scholarship.
19 on a full scholarship.
Yes.
So you're going to sit, you're going to put 19 names on a table, on a sheet of paper.
Ooh.
And how exactly are you going to, have you chosen one yet?
I have. So I know that, I'm interested in biomedical sciences, but also computer science. I like talking a lot. I know that somehow, someday, sometime, all these things are going to come together into one giant, beautiful thing that I can use to actually do things, solve problems in the world. Yeah.
So, but when it comes to solving problems, and that's what I think many, parents should be telling their children now about solving problems, not just getting a degree. Because even if you have a degree and you're not able to solve a problem, to what degree is your degree going to do anything? So, what are the things that you think could have helped you to prepare yourself to where you are now? Or really did help you to prepare for where you are now? Maybe other people want to learn from that.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I could tell this in a story kind of way. So kind of tell the story of like how everything played out. I went to Princeton College. I went to New York State Baptist Primary School, also in Surulere. But then I did 4 years in South Africa. So coming back, I was like, I started seeing problems. And this is not me saying it in a negative way. I started seeing things that I felt could be done differently. So I started planning fundraisers in my school to get amenities for my school and do those kind of things. And I put myself in a position of leadership. And because of that position, I feel I maybe had a lot of people like looking up to me, and there were lots of expectations. So that pressure became momentum for me. And that kind of became, a mindset that I have to keep achieving, not just for them, but for my sake, because there's so many things I can still do. There's so much potential I still have to unleash. And then my dad, Nigerian parents, he must go to Harvard. So since I was small, my dad was like, my dad would tell us that we can make it to a school as amazing as Harvard. I'm not saying I'm going to Harvard, but what I'm saying is, I started to think big. The end goal kind of became get into a great school, which is no longer the end goal. I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do next. But I started working towards that, started seeking opportunities, started caring about problems, started trying to get involved in competitions, doing those kind of things to get myself busy, to make a change in my own small way. And every new challenge came with a learning opportunity or an opportunity to learn something new, and then just keep moving and finding those, connecting with people, looking for a mentor, looking for people to work with. I realized that maybe Harvard is not my dream. There's so many other great schools. I started to learn, okay, what is Stanford? What is MIT? What are these schools? And which school do I really want to go to? Because I would call myself self-motivated to a very large extent.
Okay. So you say that you were doing all kinds of things when you were in school. So what crossed my mind? So where did you find the time to study so hard that you aced your exams?
And then time management is a skill, an underrated skill. But knowing how to map out the time, even if on some days it means sacrificing a bit of sleep. But I'm catching up on sleep now. So it's like, it's a win-win. But during school, there was a lot of pressure. It was a lot. But I kept on going because I kind of enjoyed the pressure, but I think I just like keeping busy, of course. Then having that end goal in mind, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, why should I keep going? Why should I not stop?
So for you, it's not just about winning the awards, getting the accolades. It's about an end goal. What would be your suggestion to them?
Yeah, so I think everybody has a different story. That was my story, and I had to tell my story because it's a part of my story.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, even from that, because I've learned a number of lessons as well. So, but what would you recommend to those students now? We can't ask you to be talking to parents.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell people, it was purely my school that made me who I am. So I wouldn't say it's like there's a difference between definitely there's some opportunities you have at a private school, but I wouldn't say that's what makes reading biographies, reading stories of people who were able to make it despite every single thing that was against them, despite every factor around them that wasn't working in their favor. And that's a lot of people here.
I don't think other 17-year-olds watching you now are going to like that, because reading biographies is not a strong thing with young people.
Unless it's on Instagram.
They'd rather be reading lighter things, you know?
But no, that is the truth. I mean, at 17, reading books is a great skill to cultivate. It's a lot. I mean, if not reading books, but then being aware of what's going in the world.
You talked about motivation, self-motivation, you said. Recommend a pathway. You know, I say this often. You're 17 today. In 10 years, you are 27. The 15-year-old today, in 10 years, is going to be 25. And many of them probably have no idea what direction that they want to go. So how would you recommend that? How did you get into that self-motivation space? Maybe someone else can pick his own path from there.
I don't even know how to put it into words, because maybe it's just the kind of person that I am. But then if not self-motivating yourself, because you are always thinking about what's next or thinking about where you're heading, then being surrounded by people who do. I'm very selective with my friends. Now, when I was smaller, everybody was my friend. But now I can definitely list out 7 friends for you that I trust, that inspire me, that are in their own special ways, by drawing different qualities from them. I would say I formed a role model from a collection of all those people. By being surrounded by people who really want the best for you, who makes you. I have a friend, the highest in JAM 2019 actually, who did his entire education in a public school, has never been abroad, but is doing amazing things right now that many people don't even know about, is that you have to find that self-motivation. Reading books is a great way. Reading books opens your mind to the world of possibilities, and that's.
Please repeat that, so that other children can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually the truth. Like, when I was younger, my dad bought me my dad bought me half of Yellow Sun, and I was 8, and I didn't want to read it. It was a heavy book, and I just I read it, but I didn't really understand it. And then so like-minded people can inspire self-motivation. Because when you see their drive, you kind of want to tap into that. You know, like they say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Or as you behold, you become. Those kind of things. What is around you really shapes where you're going or takes you in a particular direction.
Okay, tell us one thing, for instance, that inspired you from one of these 7 people you have spoken about. One thing in particular.
I'd say one is kindness. One of my friends has a very kind heart. So selflessness in a way. So thinking about other people before yourself. I mean, yeah, it's good to prioritize yourself, but then what are you doing or trying to do to help the person next to you? That's one. Then I'd say another is persistence, like just never giving up. There's some people, at least 2 or 3 of my friends have that trait. It's like, okay, this happened, let's move on. Or this person or these people are persistent in the sense that they're just like keeping their head above the water. They're in the deep end, but they keep going. Okay. It's tough. It's really tough. But they keep, and I'm like, how are you doing this? Can I learn how to do this? Can I be like you? Can I be as, maybe not self-made, but really self-driven? Yeah. So
I was going to ask you, as a follow-up to what you just talked about, persistence now. Sometimes you want to give up.
Yeah.
How did you pick yourself back up?
See, the thing about breaking down is you always get back up again. Like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. When my WAEC results were withheld, it was not a funny thing. I think they're very good at using positive words, and you want to also make your parents feel good. You want to make them proud. You feel guilty if you don't. Like, they believe so hard in you. They believe that you can do it. They believe that you are the daughter of your mother. If your parents love themselves that much, how much more should they love me, or how much more should they love you?
Well, it's not that you weren't naughty at some point.
Of course.
I'm just saying.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, no, I have been scolded very well. Enough. So I come from a home of discipline. My dad has a hard hand. My mom too, when she needs to. My parents they're Nigerian parents. Simply, that's the easiest way to say it. But you still know that there's
not sparing the rod, right?
Exactly. They don't spare the rod. And we're not spoiled, thankfully. So when I was around 13, I just did not like them. Let's be honest. Like, let me say I did not like them.
You did not like...
I love my parents.
No child likes their parents at that age. So
like,
just be clear on that. It's normal. It's normal.
It's normal to go through that stage.
Oh, was I adopted? Was I exchanged in the ward? I really can't be their child. They can't treat me this way if I'm really their child.
Exactly. But you kind of outgrow it. And I'm not joking when I say I outgrew that. Because I still have to go home. There's still, regardless of everything, regardless of all the tension, regardless of all the shouting, they're still putting food on your table. They're still sending you to school. They're still paying your bills. And
so thank you, Mom and Dad.
Thank you. I mean, I won't lie to anybody listening to this right now. It's okay if you're not in the best state with your parents, but you'll get over it.
Oh.
They still love you. I mean,
so touched by that. Being a parent myself.
Oh.
I'm sure your mom is here with us in the studio watching you, but I'm sure your dad at home, I'm sure his head is almost bursting watching you now.
Yeah.
Well done.
I am sitting with a man with multiple scholarships. So where do you see yourself in the future?
I'm always considering, whether I should pursue my master's or PhD immediately. How can I make a positive difference in my community?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I understand the TD scholarship, you would have to be maintaining a certain grade point average to be able to retain that scholarship.
What I would say if other young people are watching is, even if your grades aren't perfect, there is still room for other things. When it comes to scholarships, I think apply very broadly.
How am I gonna get scholarship? How am I gonna get to Waterloo and all these fantastic universities?
Sometimes it's a journey that it seems like you're alone, but what I really recommend is seek out other people to carry you along the journey, whether it's your parents or other people that are trying to go down the same path as you. Having that sense of community I think is really, really important and helpful to help you stay on the path that you want to go.
Recently, you made your community proud. You made your family proud. You made me proud. And you are a source of inspiration to a lot of younger ones looking up to you. Like you mentioned earlier, you won the TD scholarship. It's not something that is common. There are a lot of hard work and commitment. But I would like you to tell me what is it all about? What's this scholarship all about? And what are those challenges and everything around it?
Yeah, so in particular, the TD scholarship is a 4-year-long scholarship for university students. I think it's valued around 70,000 Canadian dollars over those 4 years. And on average, there are around 3,000 applicants, and they choose 20 students from around Canada to receive the award. The TD scholarship is based on community leadership. So what that means is the kind of impact you've had throughout high school or beforehand in your direct community. And I've won some other awards which are more focused on the academics, but TD is focused mainly on how you've impacted your community positively.
First of all, we want to look at the strategy you applied, that made you to be successful, and the challenges as well, just on a very high level. So, the younger ones listening will be able to learn.
For sure. So it comes down to how can I make a positive difference in my community? And there's a million ways to do that. So you need to find something that's close to you, an issue that you care deeply about. And try to solve that in a meaningful way. Started something in my local high school and spread it. And for you, it might be, a coding club, whichever kind of aspect that you're deeply passionate about. instead of just having that be a you thing, think about how you can bring that to other people. It can be starting a club, having different events that you run, just a way to give back to your community. These scholarships, they seem daunting. You know, they require referrals from different teachers you need to approach. And the way I see it, even if you don't win, I think it's still very important to apply, because just think about the amount of time, even if you put 10, 15, 20 hours into the application, first of all, you've already put in the time and effort, ideally, throughout your high school or beforehand, to have put you in a place to qualify for these scholarships. And then for the amount of money, even if you don't win, okay, you can waste 20 hours any day. However, if you do win, it can really be life-changing and significant in your university career.
So basically, it's a combination of...
So there were a few stages, and you also have in-person interviews. So you need to be able to speak well and be, fairly confident with what you say. Because one of the hardest parts that a lot of people face is being able to sell yourself, even if you do have the skills, being able to communicate effectively and convince others about your own impact is really, really important and often overlooked. So how I, went about that is practice, finding different places to practice, speaking and interviewing. I think it's a really important and underrated skill.
So it was basically your parents gave you that full support,
absolutely,
exposed you to community volunteering, and that kind of helped you to sort of learn one or two things that helped in, your success story related to the TD scholarship.
Right.
That's interesting to know. So in all of these achievements, looking back, all the volunteering, everything, studying, and I know it's not without some academic, pursuit and commitment and all of those things. How?
Pretty good. I worked very hard in high school in order to set me up for success at the University of Waterloo. And so the admission process is, once again, being able to sell yourself. How can you write about your past experiences in a way that really communicates all that you've done? And hopefully you've also put in the work to set yourself up for success in terms of grades and other extracurriculars. And then ideally, God is in your favor and everything works out as He was in mine. But academic scholarships, I think they're very helpful. And if you have the grades, it's almost a surefire way to get free money for university.